Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So folks, I am right now reporting observations that are coming directly out of the Lions' first joint training camp practice that they just got done with the Miami Dolphins. And boy, I'm going to tell you this right now. The observations from what I am hearing is just absolutely, wonderful. Because it's like, I understand that these are coming from other Lions fans. I understand that, they're going to have a bit of a biased opinion. But it's like, dude, it's one thing when you hear it from one person. It's one thing when you hear it from another person. But when you start hearing it from 3, 4, 5 different people that are there at the practice, and trust me, I wish I could be there. Unfortunately, Uncle Sam being, kind of the way they are, I don't have that luxury. And right now I'm kind of operating on very little because I just got done doing a 24-hour CQ duty shift, of which I've only had like maybe 2 hours of sleep. But c'est la vie. I'm just absolutely enjoying what I'm reading coming out of these practices based upon everybody that was there because, obviously they've got eyes everywhere. They're able to see what's going on with the defense. They're able to see what's going on with the offense. And everything that's coming out, all the reports, everything that's being talked about is one simple word: lopsided. It was an absolutely lopsided, dominated effort by the Detroit Lions at practice today against the Miami Dolphins. Didn't matter if it was offense, didn't matter if it was defense. Both units were just absolutely manhandling the ever-living hell out of the Dolphins. Now, let's understand why this is important. The reason why this is important is because, number one, the Dolphins are one of those teams that, hey, if they've got their starters, if they've got their players, they are a very good team to handle. They're not necessarily one of the best teams in the AFC, but they're a good team to deal with because it's like, okay, very creative, very explosive offense. They've got some playmakers on defense. So that's one side that you have to put into perspective here. But the other reason that this joint practice is so important, the reason why this joint practice and these reports are so big news right now is because all we've been hearing for the last couple of weeks is how the Lions offense has been going up against the Lions defense and vice versa. And the entire time during those periods, all anybody wanted to keep hearing about was, the Lions offense doesn't seem to be in rhythm. You know what? The defense just absolutely dominating the offense. And it's like, that's why for me, these reports about the Lions offense are so big. Not to say that the defense reports are not big, because they are, but think about this. When you think about these reports that I'm about to talk about, it really goes back to what I just had in my thumbnail image. Are you worried now? Like, what did you realistically have to be worried about? I kept trying to tell people, Lions offense is going to be fine. That's just how damn good our defense is right now. Coach Campbell has talked about it. Coach Shepard has talked about it. The players have talked about it. Goff has talked about it. Everybody has highlighted and notated how damn good, physical, just absolutely dominant our defense has been in practice. And we got even further evidence of that when they went up against another team that was not ours in practice. So, I'm going to be reading, notes, annotations that I found while I was on Twitter from all these different people off of my phone. Now, I normally, if I was doing this, would have my phone directly in front of me, but I don't want to put it there because I've got all these, notifications are coming in, which would mean you just keep hearing the thing go buzz, 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 and it's like, no, we ain't doing that. So if I look down, that's what I'm doing. But when we take a look at what was going on in practice today, the Detroit Lions just absolutely shredded the Dolphins. And when it came to the offense, it was apparently, from what I'm hearing, and I have no reason to doubt it because I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, they just absolutely just annihilated the Dolphins defense. Just absolutely destroyed them. And where it got a lot of attention was in the passing attack and based also in the offensive line. According to multiple reports, multiple, witness statements, Jared Goff and the receivers were just absolutely just shredding the ever-living hell out of that Dolphins secondary. Goff was just absolutely surgical with his precisions, just putting balls in tight spaces, throwing absolute dimes, just, absolutely doing what he does best. Didn't matter if it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, didn't matter if it was Tesla, didn't matter if it was J-Mo, just absolutely shredding the ever-living hell out of that Dolphins secondary. And then when you start talking about the receivers, apparently Amon-Ra St. Brown was just uncoverable. That's the way these reports are coming out. It's just like, every time, Goff would throw a pass and it would go to Amon-Ra St. Brown, it was for some big gain or it was for some type of a touchdown. That was in essence what I kept getting was like, this connection that Goff and St. Brown have been building, it's one of the best in the NFL. I'd say easily top 5. But I would not at all be surprised if we start hearing best or it, is close to the best. Because the way they are just absolutely just shredding opposing defensive backs, coverages, schemes, whatever have you, they're in a whole completely different level. And then again, J-Mo does what he does. Absolutely was going out there and, was just causing an absolute ruckus in that defensive secondary. And apparently he was doing more than just that because unfortunately, how do I put this? It would have been absolutely great if the reports had just been completely positive. But unfortunately, Jameson Williams, and I know a lot of Jameson Williams fans are going to hate this and, don't know all the information, don't know all was said, don't know all what was done. But apparently after the practice was done, according to reports, Jameson Williams and former Lions player Ife Melifonwu, they had a dust-up, they had a scuffle after the practice was finished. And according to what I'm also now starting to hear is that, there were punches thrown, that people were starting to throw hands. So it's like, okay, this isn't just, heat of the moment on the field. Somebody did something that aggravated this, that, everything. It's like, okay, practice is done. So it's like, I don't know if Ife Melifonwu said something. I don't know if, something was done. Again, we don't know all what's going on. But I know that for those that don't like Jameson Williams and are going to go back to the whole immaturity problem, they're going to be like, this is a big issue right here. This is going to be another highlight problem for them because it's like, oh, Jameson Williams loses his cool, absolutely tries to start something after the practice is over. So the competition's over, the entire event's over. That's it for the day. There's no reason for you to be getting into something. But that's all anyone's going to focus on is, oh, Jameson Williams got into a fight, got into a scuffle, a dust-up, whatever term you'd like to use, with former Lions player Ife Melifonwu. No idea who started it, who said what, but that also happened. So I'm not going to, not talk about that because that is news. But again, everything else practically for the Lions offense just absolutely was just, again, just delicious to hear and read. Apparently the offensive line looked the best that it has all camp. And again, you have to think about this here. I wonder why they've looked the way they have all camp. Could it possibly be the fact that, when you have to go up against Aiden Hutchinson every day, you have to go up against DJ Reader, you still have to go up against, Tyleik Williams, who I think a lot of people have underestimated his value and what he can provide for this Lions defense. Marcus Davenport apparently is, actually really turned that corner, really doing well in camp. And then you've got all these young guys, Hazanin, Ukwu, Lynn. You've still got Muhammad out there. You've got all of these guys that are just doing such a great job at, just providing all of these really nasty looks to our offensive line. That's making them better. So it's like, hey, you know what? Like I've said before, the fact that our defense has been so good versus how our offense has kind of looked like it's been sputtering a little bit, I don't think that has anything to do with how the Lions offense is, doing its job. I just think that's just how damn good our defense has been. And again, that showed up in how our Lions offense went up against the Dolphins defense. Goff and the receivers absolutely shredding the secondary like I said they were doing. Offensive line is constantly and continually winning their reps against the Dolphins defenders. Setting up good blocks, not only for Goff to feel protected in the pocket, but opening up running lanes for Gibbs and Monty. And it's just like, okay, you now are starting to see, hopefully, based upon what I've said in the past, there's not anything to worry about the Lions offense. First time they go up against somebody else, and, oh, you know what? They're not on the same level as the Lions defense. We absolutely annihilate them. We shred them all to hell. That right there ought to be a pretty damn good indicator. Like I said, and you were worried. Now let's talk about the defense really quickly. Again, not as much conversation about the defense, but what there was, again, just highlighted just how damn dominant, physical, just all over the place this defense is in just causing problems. Once again, Aiden Hutchinson is just absolutely a monster. Absolutely terrorizing people. If I recall correctly, when I read from a report, Aiden Hutchinson absolutely, was just all over the place, causing problems, getting into the backfield, just constantly applying pressure. I think he would have had back-to-back sacks on a couple of plays. That's what Aiden Hutchinson's doing. And here's the thing. These are joint practices. There is no Hutch rule for these. This isn't like, okay, you know what, we're going up against our own offense. We need to get the reps. We need to have the actual rep continue to play. No, it's like, this is joint practice. This is as close to live game reps as you're going to get. There is no Hutch rule here. It's like, if you're going to be deemed as that was going to be a sack, that's it. You're done. Play over. And the funny thing about it is that there was another report, another observation that specifically talked about how the Dolphins were given red zone opportunity work with their offense. And against our number one defense, they had 9 different plays, 9 tries to try and score a touchdown against our number one defense. In 9 plays, they didn't get anything. 8 plays were exactly as they were. The 9th play didn't work because there was a flag on the offense. But think about that. 9 plays in the red zone. So you have 9 offensive tries with 20 yards or less to try and get into the red zone. And against our defense, the Dolphins literally laid a big fat old goose egg. And I mean, think about this. You had no Terrion Arnold out there. Kirby Joseph apparently wasn't out there either. So 2 of our best defensive backs are not out there. But yet we still have, Amik Robertson, Rock Ya-Sin. We still have DJ Reed. We still have Brian Branch. Anzalone, Jack Campbell, Barnes, they're doing their thing. And then obviously, like I said, with the defensive line, you have Hutch, you have Reeder, you have Williams, you have Davenport, you have all the young edge rushers, Uku, Hazanin, Lynn, and Muhammad. Dude, it's like with all of that talent that's still there, even when some of our best players are off to the sideline and, they're not able to perform in team drills, but they can still do individual stuff like Arnold was reported to have been doing, that ought to tell you something. And then when you take a look at the second team defense, it was just as good. Apparently the second team defense, I think they had about the same amount of opportunities for the Dolphins offense. I think it was like 8 plays or something. They only allowed 1 touchdown. So think about that. Between the Dolphins' first and second team offenses against our first and second team defense in like damn near 20 opportunities, the Dolphins got 1 touchdown. 1 against our defense. That is absolutely ridiculous. Most of the time, even in practices, joint practices, where it's like, oh yeah, you know what? One team clearly got the win today. One team clearly outperformed the other. It's still like, okay, you know what? Maybe it was 2 or 3 here where the opposing team might have gotten something, might have said, hey, you know what? We can hang our hat on this. But no, like, dude, you get 1. That's all you get. 1 literal thing to hang your hat on. Okay, we scored 1 touchdown out of like damn near 20 plays in red zone work against the Lions defense. Yeah, that again goes back to what I was talking about with the Lions offense. Our defense is playing at such a high level. It is playing at such a physical level that for our offense, probably the best in the NFL, if we're having small struggles against that offense with our best offense in the NFL, imagine what every other NFL offense is going to be trying to do against our defense. That right there ought to be one of the biggest, puff your chest out and be absolutely proud of what we got, because, okay, not only do we have probably the best offense in the NFL this year, we might just very well have the best damn defense too. Think about that. Think about teams that can say, yeah, not only did we have the best offense, but we had the best defense. You're not going to find a whole hell of a lot of teams in NFL history that can say that they had that the exact same year. And it looks like the Lions might very well be able to add that claim to their repertoire. Because when you think about it, whether it's Hutch, whether it's the linebackers, whether it's the cornerbacks, these guys are just absolutely all over the place. And that does bear in mind for me to talk about one guy that I think is quickly becoming a fan favorite for Detroit Lions fans, and that's linebacker Grant Stewart. Apparently, according to the reports that I also read, he was all over the place. He was just an absolute human missile. I think I read somewhere someone said he was so hyped up, so absolutely ready to go. It looked like he was willing to take on all 90 Dolphins players and could probably beat all of them. That's how much just ample fire and juice he had coming into practice. And you have to think about it. Lions fans love that. They love to see a player that's absolutely hyped up, ready to rock and roll. And that's exactly what this Lions team has. They have players that are all about just putting out their best effort, going 100% as often as every single play as they possibly can. And it shows. When you have players that are like that, it is not hard to understand why our team is the way it is. It is not hard to understand why our Lions fans are as excited as they are. And again, I'm going to say this right now. If Grant Stewart is quickly becoming a fan favorite with the defense, the guy on our offense that's kind of the opposite of him has got to be Isaac Tesla. Because on the opposite end, Isaac Tesla was apparently overpowering the guy that was covering him. I can't remember who his name was, but he was apparently working him over so badly that the guy was so visibly frustrated that, they actually got into an on-field scuffle, but it wasn't like what happened with Jameson Williams that I was talking about earlier. And the Dolphins player literally ripped, whatever term you'd like, ripped or knocked his helmet off Tesla's head, to which then there were chants coming from the crowd of, go Tesla, and let's go Tesla. And it's just like, dude, Tesla has literally become a quick fan favorite, just like Stewart has become for the Detroit Lions fandom, because of the physicality, the toughness that they exhibit. It radiates within this fan base. And when you can see how the entire team is absolutely working over, just dominating, having a lopsided effort against another really talented team, again, when they do have their full starters out there, it gives you an immense amount of, oh yeah, we're ready to absolutely kick ass and take names this year. I will say this, though, because I know a Dolphins fan somewhere is going to be like, you're not telling the whole truth. Okay, I'll tell you the whole truth. Our defense definitely got their way against the Dolphins' offense. And the part of the reason I would say that is because Jalen Waddle and apparently Tyreek Hill, they were not out there today, at least in the team drills. I don't know if they were doing individual drills on the sideline with the other, Dolphins players and, whatever else, but apparently they weren't out there. So while it is, a very exciting piece of news, I will just put this little affidavit in there. Take it with a slight grain of salt. But you still had Tua Tagovailoa. You still had all your other starters out there. So it's like, listen, you guys weren't totally helpless. You still had options. But yes, not having Waddle and not having Hill out there, that definitely does make a difference. And I'm not going to overlook that. I'm not going to say that that does not make a difference. Because if I did, well, I would be a liar. And for me, it's like, again, you just take a look at everything that's come out at practice. It doesn't matter if it was Goff. Doesn't matter if it was St. Brown. Doesn't matter if it's Tesla. Doesn't matter if it's Hutch. Doesn't matter if it's Stewart. You've got guys on both sides of the ball that are just absolutely consistently making great, elite plays, and it's absolutely making a difference. And after all of the crap that a lot of people have been wanting to talk about with the Lions offense and the Lions team and the coordinators, both offense and defense, about whether or not they're going to be able to, do what they did last year, this first joint practice ought to be a huge dart to just absolutely popping that balloon of negativity and doubt, because it's like, listen, when you actually get a chance to go 1v1 with your units against another team, and you know what? We're putting everything out there. We're not running vanilla concepts. We're trying to actually do in-game regular season work here, because that's where we're going to get our starters, our best amount of growth. And you hear that your starting offense and defense just absolutely shred the ever-living hell out of the competition lined up opposite of them. Yeah. That right there ought to be a big vote of big vote of confidence for Lions fans. I know for hell, sure it does for me. But anyway, folks, I just had to talk about this. Like I said, I've been, just absolutely reading these Twitter updates as soon as they come in. I can't wait to hear what Tim Twentyman has to say, because his observations haven't even come out yet. He might have even more in-depth stuff. And I sure as hell hope that they're going to release some highlights, because I want to see what our Lions players did in practice. Because again, I wish I could be there, but I can't. So again, I feel like I'm losing out on an opportunity, but I'm looking forward to the next time I get a chance to go. But all right, folks. I've had my fun, so I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. If you like the content, I hope to gain your subscription if I've not done so already. But if I just gained your subscription, or if I have in the past and you've not yet also done this, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon. I hope everybody has something in their life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.